grew up Catholic, then turned atheist, and then started questioning. And then I came up with three fundamental ideas that I think why there at least has to be a creator. I'm not saying he has to be religious, saying he cares about any human affairs, but at least there has to be a force or creation that caused the universe. And I think the one that I found the most compelling was the fine-tuning principle. About the fact that every constant in the universe, like thermodynamics, gravity, the speed of light is set exactly to the point it needs to be for life to exist. And I think you have two doorways to go down if that's true. And that one is that there has to be a God or a force that made those constants to be exactly what they are. Or two, it happened on accident, which I think is way more far-fetched.
Okay. Well, first off, let's stay accurate with terms. Let's drop the word God and stay with creator.
Okay, I agree. Okay. I agree because there's so many stigmas behind that word.
Yeah, so you can work that up in other discussions, but you're talking about creator based on the laws of physics being what they are and being what appears to be finely tuned. So, from what I said a little bit ago, it doesn't have to be intentional, but I would think that the fine tuning implies intention, right? Like someone had to put it together that way. That's kind of what you're comfortable with?
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you right off the bat, the fine tuning argument is the strongest argument for a creator that there is. Okay. I still don't think it is strong enough to justify a belief in it. But of the hypotheses that are there, especially given that we really don't know how the universe came to be at this point in time, that I think it's probably the best, the most rational one to pay attention to. It looks like an observation that deserves an answer, right?
Right.
So the first point I want to make is that you know what the anthropomorphic principle is?
That's the counter argument to it. I read into it. Okay, I don't remember it off my head.
Okay, let me verbalize it what I can remember. It's not a strong argument either. It's not the strongest, I should say, but it's an unavoidable one that we have to at least be aware of. Okay, the anthropological argument, or point really, it's not an argument, it's an observation, is that we are in this universe and the universe is this way because if it were a different way, we wouldn't exist, right?
Correct.
It's like and the analogy typically is a puddle in a pothole where the puddle thinks, that, oh, look, my shape is perfectly adapted to this pothole. Someone must have made the pothole this way. So you can't ignore that truth that the anthropomorphic principle is a fact. Now, it's insufficiently, not the word justified, it doesn't feel like enough of an explanation, right, to put all your marbles in. So we just have to acknowledge that it is there, and that it is a truth that exists. It is possible that this is the only set of physical laws that could have created us.
Right.
So just let me just lay that down. I don't want to make a stronger argument than that, but move on to your side, your point. Give me reiterate that a little bit. Why do you think it implies a creator?
So I'll go to my second point. This is another thing I've thought about for a couple years. Is consciousness itself, and where does that come from?
Wait, can we stay with the first one because I don't think we're done with it.
Yeah. So you're saying, so you're talking about, for example, I exist. I'm telling you I exist, but the only other way I would tell you I exist is if I didn't exist, right? That's kind of the argument.
Well, it's not an argument against fine-tuning. It is an argument against your argument. I mean, it's not sufficient, I don't think, to invalidate your argument.
Right.
Just put it that way. So that's why I just wanted to make the point that one is there, but I'm not putting it forth as that's the definitive one that disputes your idea. That's why I want you to go a little further with why you think the fine-tuning argument is so strong. Why do you think it implies? Do you think it implies a sentient creator, or could it be caused by
I do
say a non-sentient multidimensional force or whatever?
I do, because they don't, those laws, those scientific principles do not bend to anybody. They don't bend here on Earth. They don't bend here on Jupiter. If you have three identical experiments in any topic in science, and one of them has a different result, something went wrong. There has to be a variable change
Yeah.
in that experiment. And so, for example, in coding in a computer, if the code doesn't work, there has to be a reason why,
Okay.
and
So,
there is an
so
order to it, and that, I think, is an implication of someone who designed it so that it makes sense to be observed through science.
there is. I probably shouldn't even mention it. Oh, okay. Since I started,
Go ahead, go ahead.
there is one multiverse theory that says that laws of physics could be different beyond where we can see. I think that's a fairly weak one. I don't think it's a consensus. So let's go with what you said, that the laws of physics are exactly the same through our universe.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really work with your logic about a creator, because the fact that the laws of the universe are the same within makes no implications about how they came to be. So you're making a category error of thinking about laws within and laws, a different set of things or something, or a creator or whatever that could have actually created those laws. So
Right.
that piece of it doesn't work.
So
That
you're
makes
saying they're
sense?
two separate arguments, and they're
No,
not
I'm
interconnected.
saying you tried to use the idea that the laws of the universe are the same here and on Jupiter and in other galaxies, right?
Right, right.
That doesn't imply a creator. That just implies that the laws of physics are consistent within our
Consistent.
universe.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was
That
trying to say.
Yeah, that's all that does. It doesn't imply anything more than that. So we're still stuck with the question of why are the laws of physics what they are.
Right.
That's it. So throw that one away, because it's a category error. So the question is still open. So give me another reason that helps you believe that.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much my strongest one. I think that,
Yeah.
the physical constants of the universe are just so exact to the point
Okay.
where, I think it's literally next to impossible for it to be an accident, and you have to confront that in either one of two ways. Either one, you say, well, there has to be a force, a creator to the universe, or it just happened on accident, which I think, if you make the reasonable assumption, you would go with the creator route every time,
Well,
and it would make a lot more sense.
the on accident is an interesting one too, because there's like 4 different multiverse theories. I didn't know about this. I literally just read a book about it, and a third of it went over my head. So forgive me for doing the best I can here. um, there, there, there is a multiverse hypothesis that says that universes of every type are created at any moment. Just like, every black hole, the inside of a black hole, on the other side of it, if you will, might actually be analogous to a Big Bang and create its own universe with its own set of laws. So it could actually be that, and there's physics math behind this. I don't know better than that. It could actually be that an infinite number of universes have been created. Therefore, it's not unusual that one of them happens to be the one that we form in. Now you have the anthropomorphic principle. We think it looks like we're alone, just like we used to think Earth was all there was.
Right.
And that kind of invalidates the odds argument. I'm sorry, invalidates too strong a word, because these are both. You've got a hypothesis. This physics thing is a hypothesis.
Well,
None of them have enough evidence behind them to assert most likely to be true.
right.
So,
But
so
what I don't like,
they're all still on the table,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
including
What I
yours.
don't like about that argument is, while I'm open to it, and there's obviously a lot of scientific backing for a lot what you're saying, without a doubt. But I'm saying that our universe is the one that we can observe. and the one where we can actually measure these physical constants. While a lot of these, let's say that all these other universes, we can't. I'm making these arguments and then making assumption based on these arguments.
Yeah. Well, so
It's
it's okay,
really, you
but
know,
you have to be careful with what you assume,
right,
because you can't assume that there aren't other universes. We can't assume that there are. Right.
right,
So you're working with, but you understand there's a strong potential for a bias because we only see us. And
right,
historically, we've been through this multiple times and turned out to be wrong. We used to think that Earth was the only place, and then we saw planets, 5,000 years ago, whenever for Galileo's time, right? And
right,
and then we learned of the solar system, and we thought that it was Earth and our solar system, our sun. We saw stars. The Bible says that the stars are actually points of light on a dome, and that hypothesis made sense with what they had to work with at that time. Time goes by, we learn that we're in a galaxy. That's what you can see at night, right? And it wasn't
right,
until literally 100 years ago that we learned that we are not the only galaxy. So this human-centric thinking, it's got an asterisk on it because it's a very strong bias to think that this universe is here and here for us. Particularly when the more and more we learn about abiogenesis, which is inorganic molecules becoming more complex and becoming
right.
organic. What you're saying is very intuitive, as long as you understand that distinction about within the universe to before the universe, because that's a different realm. I would say it's been reinforced an awful lot by religion, so we're probably giving it more subjective credibility than it's due. To me, it's like, I think it's fascinating. I don't see the justification to pull it above the hypothesis level at this stage.
For
But
sure. I agree with you there.
but I'm not gonna pull it out of your brain and dismiss it, because I don't see the justification for that either. You have a valid hypothesis.
Uh,
That's how
it,
science works, right? Sometimes science can't go very far because it doesn't have
for
much to
sure.
work with, right?
Yeah,
And we go as far as we can, and then we stay until more comes along, if more comes along.
yeah, yeah, agree.
So we get down to subjective opinions between you and I am not convinced that the creator argument is strong enough to stand out.
Hmm.
You think it is?
Right, right.
You and I will never know because we're not going to live long enough. Probably, it's not likely that this will get resolved in the next. Well, you got more time than I do, so if you figure it out, come tell my kids.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right, man. It was great talking to you. I'm sure I'll be tuning in whenever you do go live. I'll give you a follow and everything. But
All
it was a
right.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for calling in. Thank you for that.